What's happening, everybody? Welcome to this week's live stream. I hope you're all doing good today. So, what the game plan is today is we are going to be casting some 3D printed stuff, and I want to make, this is going to be for the holiday ornament. And in my brain, what I had in mind was I thought, let's try to go for like kind of like a peppermint looking kind of thing. And so what I decided to do is use my pinstripe 3D model and make it a little bit bigger so that it'll fit in like a bottle stopper size 1.5-inch PVC pipe, and then cast some white resin around it. So it's going to be a pretty simple one today, and because of that I also thought, you know, why don't we do something else? And so we've been working on the Halloween themed 3D print boxes. So I want to show you guys these things. So I thought we would do one of each of these today as well. I was going to do it next week, but then next week there's all kinds of scheduling issues and problems. So we're going to do some of these things today, okay? I'm going to go for the overhead. I'm going to probably have to kind of mess around with the lighting. Well, you can kind of see. So this one's obviously a spider web. I thought that was really cool. So Nikki made the design on this, and these are available on my website. And there's links down in the description below, and I'll put some in the chat there. And then this one's going to be a little bit harder to kind of get a good shot of, but they're like jack-o'-lantern faces that Nikki came up with. So hopefully you can see that. I'm going to switch to the other camera. I also got some new equipment. It's nothing fancy, but it's a lens that widens. It's like a wide-angle lens for my other camera. There, you can kind of see it. It's really tough. This thing is so dark. Let's see if that'll kind of get you guys a shot there. And then roll sideways. There, that's a good shot of him. So it should be pretty cool, I think. So this one will be pretty simple as well, the black one with the jack-o'-lanterns. And the spider web is going to be a little bit more like kind of intricate, let's say. You got to fill all these little holes, and there's a couple of smaller holes. So we'll have to kind of play around with that. I might do that one probably like separately, like on its own. This one will be just kind of, I'm thinking orange. It's kind of the idea. You could go with a lot of different colors, I think, on that if you wanted, but orange just seems like the right way to go. And so the other one, though, you could pretty much go with any color. So we're going to have to pull out the little needles, most likely, to get some of the smaller ones. And then also in the middle, there's like an hourglass, kind of like a Black Widow sign. So we're going to want to go with red on that one, of course. So we'll just do that one separately. It should be pretty fun. Yeah, it'll definitely show up once you cast it. It's really tough with the lighting here. And then like the dark background in the bottom, it's like you can't barely see what's going on. So anyway, let me stop. Who was here first? Wow. Clyde was here, and then Kim, sweet. Mark, awesome, lots of people here. All right, Chad's here. I saw Chad up there somewhere, and Gretchen's here. Oh man, you're gonna try and watch and work? Oh, good luck with that. I'm either on one thing or the other. I can never do both. Yeah, that's tough. Nikki was asking about the smaller cavities. It's tough on a pen blank. You know, you really kind of need smaller particles, smaller things. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I've kind of learned a little bit how to figure this stuff out. The only other issue is sometimes printing with really small cavities can be kind of tough. I did okay on this one, but I think I've figured out how you do this with the smaller ones. And for anybody that didn't see on the bubble box, I was having issues with that. And the thing is, you need to put the needle all the way down to the bottom, which is actually something that Richard, I think, suggested during that stream. But you're also going to need to get a smaller tip. And going back, the reason why, I don't know what size I get. I always forget which exact size these are, but I think they're maybe, I want to say like 14 gauge, maybe something like, I don't know. I'm not entirely certain which gauge this is, but this was when I first messed around with these little needles. This was the smallest size you could go with, and on the needle, when you're actually sucking the resin in, this was the smallest size that would actually suck resin in. And so that's why I kind of just said, okay, well, that's the smallest one I'm going to use. Well, the problem is when you're trying to fill something really, really small like that, you got to go with a smaller needle gauge. And I think this is 18 gauge. I'm not 100% sure, but it's definitely smaller. And so what you need to do is just fill the syringe either with a 14 gauge, or you don't even need to actually put a tip on the syringe. Fill the thing and then switch out the tips. It's not going to leak or do anything like that. Just put a smaller tip on and you're good to go. But once again, you need to put it all the way down to the bottom of that cavity, squirt a little bit, and kind of even move it around so that it's kind of getting on the walls, and then, you know, pull it up and squirt a little bit more. And it's not that big of a deal. You know, once you kind of do all that stuff, you're good to go. So let's do the first one first. We're gonna do these two guys. Like I said, it's gonna be pretty simple. I'm just going with white. I want kind of a peppermint look. And I'm thinking, even when I actually turn these things, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a little heads up. I think I want to actually try to hollow one of them out a little bit. It's going to end up, you know, fairly small once we get done with it, but these things get really heavy, like the resin and all that kind of stuff. Even for something, if I made it like, let's say, you know, it's not going to be this full size, but like half the size, if you made that into a sphere, I mean, it's pretty heavy. It's like, you know, it's like hanging on the tree. And so I thought, let's see if we can maybe hollow out the inside a little bit just to reduce some of the weight. I don't know. We'll have to kind of see how that works, but it should be kind of fun. So let's get the cameras going here. We're going to get the, what I'm going to use is just PVC pipe. And then I got my plugs, and I got links to all this stuff down in the description below. Before we begin, I want to show you guys how I made this. Okay, so I have a 3D print file called a pinstripe. All right, and actually, let me go get, I have one over here somewhere. I just want to show you the difference and kind of show you what is, let's say, possible, okay? Oh, that's the wrong bucket. Okay. So, should have thought about this before. So I've got a 3D print file that is this, okay? This is the original, and I didn't change the actual file itself. I just went in the slicer and adjusted the size, and I'm using the same thing. So I want to go through and kind of show you guys, for anybody that does the 3D printing stuff or wants to get into it, you can take a file without adjusting like the main file itself. All right, so when you're doing this 3D printing stuff, you're gonna, you know, one, you need to 3D model something, then convert it into an STL file that you will put into the slicer program, which is what tells, it's basically converting a 3D model into something that a 3D printer can actually read and do something with. All right, it's slicing it into layers, and it'll basically tell the 3D printer what to print on each one of those layers. All right, so in the slicer software, that's where you can make some slight adjustments. So let's switch over to Chitubox. And hopefully this will work. I've had issues with the stream crashing in the past trying to mess with this. I'm going to try and show you guys my screen. So hopefully this will work. Boom. Okay, I think it worked. Let me make this a little bit smaller. Not that small. I can see my stream stuff. Oh, I just lost it. Where did the thing go? Okay, I'm gonna put this over here. How about that? Okay, so what I've already done on this screen is, this is the 3D print file. I've imported it. I have the STL file, and in Chitubox, you just open this thing, open file, and I did my pinstripe one. Okay, and so it dropped it down on the build plate. Okay, so this is mimicking the build plate of my 3D printer. Now, what I can do, number one, I need to rotate this. Let's see which axis that needs to actually be. It's kind of hard to see. I think it's red. Okay, so now we've got it pointed vertically. All right. Now, what I can do, you go to this scale thing. Let me just make sure I know which axis is which. Do it like that. Okay, so green. So I only want this thing to be like, you know, like 1.5 inches, 2 inches tall. Now, I don't know what the number is. What's 2 inches? I don't know the conversion. Okay, so around like 50 millimeters or so. Now I need to make sure that this lock ratio is off because I'm going to be doing things, you know, I don't want it all to change. All right, so I want like 55 point. So now it's shrunk it down. It hasn't changed anything else. It's still 3/4 inch, but it's only, you know, 55 millimeters tall, about 1.5 or 2 inches or whatever. Okay, now you go back to scale, and then on these other two, so that was green, was the up and down. And unfortunately, the axes are a little bit messed up on this file, but green was the up and down. So for red and blue, what I did to change this, it's a 3/4 inch or so model, right? So, and I can't see the chat right now, so if you guys have questions, we'll just figure that out in a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump it up to like just under 1.5 inches, 1.45, let's say, inches to millimeters. I'm going to convert that. So we're looking at, that's not right. Yeah, maybe that is right. We're looking at like maybe 40 millimeters, 40, and then 40. And now we've got about a 1.5 inch by, you know, 1.5 or 2, probably 2 inches tall model, and we use the same file, right? So you don't even need to get a different file. You know, at least in the case of this pinstripe, you can make some adjustments on that thing, and you don't have, you can do that. You know, you can make a stopper size thing as well as a pen blank size thing. That's what I wanted to kind of show you guys. So let me switch back over and find out. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah, I don't. I just Google the conversions, things like that. I don't need to keep in my brain, so I don't. So if anybody has any questions, leave those down below about that. I have links to this pinstripe file as well as both of the Halloween boxes down below. But let me just grab them. I have them up. Let me grab links. So here's the pinstripe file that we're going to be doing for this ornament thing. And then here's the jack-o'-lantern. For things, so, you know, this worked great because it's exactly the same all the way through, right? So you can make adjustments to this a little bit, but it's also going to kind of, I don't know, you're also going to kind of squish the faces a little bit. So in this case, you might want to do it where the ratios are like totally locked. That way, all it's doing is just shrinking it a little bit, but it is going to shrink the faces too. There's no way to change something like this and just do what I did. It has to be something where it's pretty much just like a two-dimensional type thing. So I just wanted to mention that. But with the pinstripe model, you can totally change the sizes of it, and it'll work for you. And here's the spiderweb one. So those are links, those are available. And we're talking about the file, right? The STL file that you can use to print things out, not physical, you know, objects or anything like that. All right, so first thing we need to do is we need to spray our PVC pipes with some mold release so that it doesn't get stuck in there. I'm gonna go kind of off camera back here, spray it away from things. I'm just gonna kind of get the walls of the pipe covered nicely. You don't need to like totally douse it on there. The first time you use a pipe for casting, you might want to give it, you know, kind of double down your effort on mold release, just to make sure that it's all covered. But then once you've you know, used one of these pipes, like once, you know, just give it a spray and it's good to go. It's going to have some residual, you know, mold release kind of on it. Okay, this guy in there. Okay, and the silicone plugs are available at Turner's Warehouse. Again, link in the description below. So let's switch to this view here. Let's see, did anybody have any questions? I don't think so. Ah, relief holes. That's a really good idea, Philip. I like that. Huh. Yeah, that would be way easier. Huh. Very good, Philip. I like that. Why didn't I think of that? Okay, so I don't see any questions. Okay, so let me switch. Brain's processing or doing something. So, and I have another oh, that's not what I want. I have another camera that I want to kind of experiment with a little bit. See how this works in this view. And I wouldn't mind any feedback that you guys have. I'm gonna kind of reposition this and make sure that I have the best angle for you guys. I like the overhead thing, but I don't like the fact that the camera is mounted to the desk is one problem. So we're just going to try this now that I have a wider angle. So we'll give it a shot. All right, so we're going to get these two Halloween things out of the way. We're just working on these guys, all right? So again, we're going to go with just white resin. This is going to be super simple. It's not going to take a whole lot of, like effort here. We're just going to mix up some white resin. And the way that I do these is I'm going to dump the resin in, and then I'm going to pop this thing down in and let it just sink down into the resin. That way you don't trap any air and do anything. The divisions in this one, this 1.5 inch size one, I mean, really, you could probably just drop this down in the pipe and pour resin over it. But, it's just as easy to pour the resin in and then drop it down in. The one advantage I would say is if you can just drop this thing down into the pipe, pour the resin on it, there's a lot less chance of like overflowing. If you put too much resin in and drop this thing, it could overflow. But I really recommend doing it that way with the pen blank ones, because it's really hard to get your resin to go into these kind of smaller little cavities. I think it's a better way to drop it down in there after you've poured resin in. And all it takes is, to do it once or twice, figure out how much resin do you really need in that pipe, and then you can mark the pipe, and then it's perfect every time. So, all right, so let me get my gloves on. Any questions? See the front of the can. Are we talking about this can? Stoner mold release? And you don't have to use this brand specifically. It just needs to be something that works with the resin you're using. Most of the bigger manufacturers sell some. They have it on their website, something. But I mean, for the most part, they all kind of will work. With resin. If it's a product made for resin, it should work with probably just about every resin out there. But I do like this purple stuff. It may or may not be available outside of the US. I'm not sure. Possibly, I don't know. People that are in other countries, you might need to help me out with that. Let me know if you can get that same one and where. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take notes. I'm actually going to go with the overhead view on this, just so you can kind of see what I'm sort of doing. So I take notes on every pour that I do. First I put the date, which is the 5th. And we're doing, I'm just going to call this big pinstripe holiday ornament. Okay, so these pipes, let's see, how much is that going to take? I'm going to do some really quick calculations here, guys. So I'm going to estimate that it might take, I don't know, somewhere around like 70, 75 grams of resin to fill this pipe. So I'm just going to mix up 150. If I have extras, we got the Happy Fun Cup, right here. Which camera am I on? Look at this fun cup. That one's looking pretty sweet. So we need more resin in there anyway. So I always like to go a little bit over. That way I don't have to be all crazy about, you know, perfection with all this stuff. And we get Happy Fun Cup. All right, so we're going to be using alumilite clear slow. This is my favorite resin for most things. 12-minute working time. It's a urethane resin. And the beauty of this thing is the demold time is like 2 to 4 hours. So I can take it out of the pressure pot pretty quick. But you have to pressurize this, all right? So you can't just kind of pour it out, you know, mix it, and expect the bubbles to go away. They're going to be in there. So you need to pressurize it to remove air bubbles. All right, so I'm going to switch back to that other view now. Not that one, this one. Am I going to put any sparkle? That's a good idea. We might do a little sparkle. Yeah, good call. So we need 75, so and it's a 1-to-1 mix ratio. We need 75 grams. And you want to use a scale with this particular resin. All right, so I haven't mentioned that tip for a little while. Before you start, you know, pouring and casting with whatever resin you buy, make sure to read the label or the instructions that come with it and see, you know, is it by weight? Is it by volume? Because if you do it, if it says that it's by weight and you mix it just by volume, you know, like a 1-to-1 volume measurement, it's not going to work because the weight is not the same as the volume, all right? So it relies on 1-to-1 by weight. It would be some weird number by volume. Like technically you could do it if you knew what the volumetric measurement was, but we don't know that. So 75 grams of part B. Sneaking up on it, and I gotta give another shout out to Brian over at TBC Bushings for coming up with this silicone plug for the part B. The part B cap like gets stuck on this jug. It's a pain, and these silicone plugs are the greatest invention on the planet. All right, so Brian sent those to me. And I think I have a link in the description to those as well. I don't think I took that out because I think that if you're using alumilite clear slow or you know, some of the epoxies even, you know, one part or the other, that the for some reason the resin kind of around the cap gets kind of sticky and it just gets stuck on that jug and you're just like, it's a pain. So just pop a silicone plug in. You're good to go. It's sealing it. And it's easy to get in and out. Oh yeah, the electricity was out. I saw that, Mike. I hate it when the power goes out. I really want to get like a full-on... first, I want to get a house. That would be neat. But if I ever do have a house, I want to get a full-on solar and battery backup system. Or an F-150 from Ford. So where do you live, Helene? I probably said that wrong, but I apologize for probably butchering your name. But where are you at? Are you in France? Somewhere? I mean, that would be the obvious, but you never know. All right, so we're gonna go with let's see, we got 150. Let me think some numbers here. Oh, that's not right. Okay, so I'm going to put about 0.5 grams of white. This is just white alumilite dye. I'm going to put about 3, let's see, where are we at here? 1, 2, 0.4, I think is what I said, right? 0.4, just to give it a little bit of opacity, to make it opaque. Connie's here, what's up? Do I pressurize the Happy Fun? No, I don't pressurize those. I probably should, but there's going to be some bubbles in them a little bit, but I think it'll be okay, you know. I don't know. We'll have to kind of see. They may be absolutely horrible blanks, but the mystery box folks are going to be getting them, so we'll find out at the end of the year. That's going to be probably a Christmas kind of thing. So we got a little bit of alumilite white dye in there, and then I'm going to add some of this micro pearl from Pearlex. We're going to put, I don't know, try a 1/4 teaspoon and see how that feels. A lot of times you don't really have to be like, oh, it's a 1/4 teaspoon. You can just put a scoop or whatever in. Sometimes it's just a little bit easier to kind of keep notes of like exact measurements like that. That's looking pretty good. I think that's fine. One thing to think about, to note or whatever, a lot of times I'll be kind of messing around with, you know, can you see the stick? You know, how opaque is it through the stick? And that's for pen blanks. When you're dealing with a blank this large, there's going to be it's a big cross section. You know, no matter how thin I turn this down, it's really not going to be that thin. Not as thin as like a pen blank. I mean, that gets really thin. So you can kind of get away with a little bit more, but I mean, it is pretty opaque anyway. So if it was a little bit on the thin side or not pearly enough, I would add more, basically. So if you're only doing a one-off thing, then you don't really need to worry so much about things. You can just kind of keep adding until it looks right. But I would recommend, if you can remember to, you know, come back to your notes and put all that stuff down. So we did 175 each, and then let's see here. So we added 0.4 grams. I'm just writing some notes here. 0.4 grams of white dye, 1/4 teaspoon of micro pearl. All right, so now we know what we put in this, and we can come back to that if we need to later. Okay, so in this case, let's do one of each where, you know, I'm going to pour some resin in this one. Get this thing out of the way so you guys can kind of see what's happening. I'm just going to fill it kind of like halfway or so. I don't know how much I'm going to need. And then we just drop one of these guys in. And so that way you know you're not trapping any air, but I didn't do a very good job. It's not, you know, full. So let me add a little bit more. And one thing to note, now that this thing is all the way down in there, you can lift it up and that will help. It's kind of hard to grab, but that'll help kind of spread the resin out a little bit, you know, into each one of the fins. Right now it's sitting on that silicone plug. And so this didn't, you know, obviously you can tell this didn't like fully work the way that I really would have liked this, you know, to work. But I can lift this up and then drop it back down again. And that'll just make sure that, you know, everything's getting filled evenly and there's really no air pockets. So now we'll do it the other way and see. Again, in this case, it's so big that you can really get away with just kind of pouring it on top, I think, and you're going to be fine. Now this one's going to be a little harder. You can just pour it in the middle. Let it flow over. I'm just going to do that again. Let's make sure that we've... I need some tweezers. It's just not working. Need a little bit of a paper towel here. Okay, that's good enough, I think. Doesn't need to be that long in this case. I'm probably going to cut it down and make it quite a bit shorter, but we'll have a little extra. And I did pretty good on my estimation. There's really not much resin left in this cup. However, there's some resin left in the cup, so we're going to put it in our thing. Let's see here. I'm actually going to, I need to have, let's see, do I need pressure pots? Yes, I need pressure pots after the show. So we're going to drop these two down into the 5-gallon pot. This is my backup. Actually, I got a 2.5 that I could, I need more pressure pots, guys. Of course I don't have enough. Yeah, we're just gonna go with the 5-gallon. I'm gonna switch or move the camera a little bit. I think we'll go with this one. It's easier to deal with. So I got a 5-gallon on the pot on the ground here. I'm just gonna drop those guys in there. This is a bit overkill, but I do need the pressure pots later on today. Okay. And I'm going to pressurize this to about 60 psi. Whatever pressure pot you have, make sure you're not over pressurizing it. They're all going to tell you they should have whatever the max PSI is for your pot. Don't go over that, all right? And everything will be good to go. You'll be safe. They're all different. This one, the max PSI on mine, this is a pretty expensive pot, so it's like the max is 80. But some of the cheaper ones, the max is only like 45 sometimes, or 50 or 60. So, make sure whatever the max is, you don't want to go over that. Okay. If you go over it, then it could, it can damage the pot. And if anything happens, the lid can effectively kind of, blow off if the materials get damaged enough. So that's the way to play it safe. Just make sure you're not going over. Yeah. I was thinking, I got to be honest, guys. I had a whole list of ideas for the holiday ornament thing, and I don't know. I've been messing around with trying to find a better note-taking app and to-do list thing, and I don't even know. I had a whole list of things, ideas, and that's the only one I can remember. So, and it was a good one. It was actually the one I was going for, but whatever. Oh, you just got the 2.5 gallon. Nice. Yeah. And down in the description, actually. This is the pressure pot. This is that 2.5 gallon that he's talking about. This thing is awesome. The California Air Tools pressure pots, they have ones made for resin casting, basically. And the beauty is, literally, you can take it out of the box, plug it in, and it's ready to go. The only thing you need to do is adjust the regulator valve, which is just a 2-second calibration thing. Totally ready out of the box, no plumbing or any messing around. You don't even have to bolt anything together. It is so awesome. And so they got a 2.5, and I got, like I said, there's a link below to this pot. And then there's also, if you are somebody that only wants to buy one pot, let's start there, and you're going to do a mix of large and small projects, you may want to just go with the 5-gallon pot. It's much bigger. The one that I just used, it's twice the size. So either way, And I'm gonna, so here's our, let's see, let's go with the overhead camera. I guess I can just do whichever one. Oh, I got resin all over me. I don't want to touch my mouse after I touch the resin. I think that's why Jake has like saran wrap all over his equipment. Let's go with the Canon. So we'll just do our Happy Fun Cup. So, you know, at the beginning I said that you really want to pressurize this resin, and you do. But you know, in this case, I think it'll be okay. There may be some minor little air bubbles and stuff, but I don't think it's going to ruin this piece. But, you know, I wouldn't do this for like, I would, you know, I pressurize everything otherwise, but this is just kind of an extra. I could have pressurized that. I always forget, you know. And like I said, it'll be kind of an interesting experiment to see. Oh, why did I throw that away? I'm trying to clean it off to save it. Steve McDonald got me into saving my sticks. I don't know why it never crossed my mind to wipe off the stir sticks and reuse them, the wooden ones. I was like, oh yeah, I could do that. Okay. 255C, yeah, that's the best one. Who doesn't feel good? Oh, Connie doesn't? Oh, you're really sick? Ah, that sucks. I thought I was getting sick on Monday. I don't know what it was. I got really bad allergies right now, I guess. I don't know. I was really run down too. Kind of like tired, like exhausted feeling. I don't know. But I feel okay today. Still have allergies. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is, let's just get the spider web one out of the way. That one's going to require a little bit more messing around and fussing about, you know. So let's do that. So we're going to use, most of it can be filled by just pouring, you know, the cup, the resin with the cup. These divisions are big enough that it's not like it's that big of a deal. However, there are some really small ones right now over here. Pretty small divisions right there that might require using a syringe to fill. And then these guys in the middle, definitely, which some of those might be a little bit tough to fill. We'll have to kind of see. But I do have some pretty small syringes. Got an 18 gauge one, and I got a pink one, whatever that is, maybe 20. Let's see, how does this work? Yeah, I can get it in there. The pink is going to work for whatever. Let's see about this one. Okay, yeah, that one will work. Okay, I'd rather not use that super tiny one because it's not particularly awesome. The smaller that hole, the harder it is to push the resin out. Because we're going to probably add mica powders and, you know, who knows what. And there's a bunch of junk that you're trying to push through. It's not just like water or, you know, like a solvent or something like that. That'll go through a really small hole. But in the case of resin, it's already a little bit thicker than like water or something. So a little bit different. All right, so let's go with the overhead view. So let me know what you guys think about it. We did the side view coming from over there. Now we're going to do the overhead view. Okay, so I want to say this is a 14 gauge. This is, I think, an 18 gauge. I don't know. And I forgot, this is kind of a last minute decision to do this. So I don't have the links up yet. Let's see here. Let me do some working on this real quick. I can get the links pretty quickly. Oh, there. No. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I'm just trying to get the links for these. Shoot, not in there. Okay, let's try. This one. Should be in this one. Okay, so syringe tips. I don't know if that's. Sorry guys. I really want to get on this too right away, but I want to make sure that I have the links for you guys. I think I'm having difficulty finding where I put them. Here it's in. Here we go. Yeah, so these ones, it's a 14 gauge. This one's an 18 gauge. Okay. Let me grab these links for you guys. And I typically like the 10 milliliter syringes. So I'm just going to, hopefully this will work. Kind of works. Okay, so hopefully that'll work. So the 14 gauge is the first link, 18 is the second, and then the syringes is the last one. All right, so there you have it. Okay, so for this one, I want to add red for the, for like the Black Widow hourglass thing. And I don't know, I'm kind of thinking, you could go with any color, I think, on this. So if anybody wants to do a super chat real quick and be the, the voice of what we're doing with this thing, let me know. But I think I want to just go with one color and let the white really stand out and then add that red. I'm kind of thinking black. I mean, I don't know. Just seems kind of like what you would go with. But I'll give you guys a couple seconds here. So we got the tips. We have the syringe. Technically, I don't really need a gigantic syringe. I like the 10 milliliter ones, typically. But in this case, really, I only need the syringe for these like super tiny things. I think all the rest of them, I can just dump the cup, pour it in there straight. So we're gonna go with I wanna say this is a 3 milliliter. Yeah, 3 milliliter syringe. But typically, if you're doing a lot of things, I like the 10 milliliter ones. It holds a lot more resin. You're not constantly filling and, having to replace all that stuff. Especially in the case if you're doing it with a smaller tip, and you have a lot of little things to do, I would go with the 10 milliliter. So you're not having to take the tip off and then suck the resin in. You know what I mean? So again, just to reiterate, typically the smallest one that I would want to use that can actually suck the resin in is the 14 gauge, but that's not really going to fit into these small holes. So you could either use the 14 gauge tip or just not use a tip at all and just suck the stuff in straight into the syringe. And then once you have it in there, then put your 18 gauge tip on and you can press it out for some reason, but you can't suck it in. I don't know. It has less suction than it does push. Okay. It's a little bit, I will say it's a little bit cleaner to use a tip, like the 14 gauge tip to suck it in, then just take that off and then switch them out. It gets, this thing starts dripping and doing stuff otherwise. So just wanted to let you guys know about that. Oh, why'd you delete that, Chad? That was a good message. Did you? Okay, they're hidden. Hide that user. You suck. User whatever person. Thank you to my awesome moderators for cracking down. Okay, so we're doing number 2 is going to be the spider web. And I always forget how much these things take. I'm just going to mix up 100 grams of resin. That should be way more than enough. So that's 50 again. We're going to use alumilite clear slow. So originally on the bubble box ones, something similar to this where we were putting like different colors and different holes and all this, it was going to take forever. Originally, I was like, okay, I'm going to use like a really slow setting resin. But I found that alumilite clear, even though it's a quick setting resin, you only have 12 minutes of working time, I would rather go with that because you can actually get more rounds of resin done in a day because it only takes a few hours to get it out of the pressure pot. If you used an epoxy that took 8 hours, before, like it has an 8-hour demold time, which means it needs to be in the pressure pot like overnight. In that case, you can do that and you'd have more working time, but 45 minutes, if it's super, like if I was going to put a different color in each one of these things, I don't even think I could get that done in 45 minutes. And then these small ones, you may need to come back and actually top them off, just because it's somewhat difficult to just put a little bit of resin in one of these small holes. So what I found is alumilite clear, slow, the 12-minute working time, I would rather just do lots of quicker rounds than mess around with something like, that's like a really long working time. It was the best site. That's funny. All right, Chris, have a good one. Duty calls. That's cool. That's cool. Okay, so I'm going to go with black resin. I'm not seeing super chats, so I think I want to go with black and then red for this one. So let's see here. And I think we're going to go with pearly instead here. So I like, let's see here. Where's my black? Sumi or Ninja? So Sumi. That's funny. Sumi black is a good, really deep black. And then for red, I think my favorite, let's see, where did that go? My newest favorite is Yamagata, or you could go with Senshi, but let's go with Yamagata. I think that was fine. By Eye Candy, it is bomb. This is the best red that I've ever found. The other one's fine too, Senshi or Yamagata. Okay, so 50 times 2, 50 grams part A, 50 grams part B. And then we only need like the tiniest amount of resin to fill this hourglass thing. So I'm just going to break off like 10 grams maybe. I don't even think we need that much for the red. And I'm going to use Yamagata. I can't spell Gata. And then the rest of it's going to be 90 grams of black. We're going to use the Sumi. So Sumi. And I think we're going to go with probably like a half teaspoon. Make sure it's nice and thick. So 100 grams, not a lot of resin, so we're going to use this smaller cup. I am going to switch to the double cam. Let's see, I'm going to try this cam. Oh, that's really dark. Does that seem dark to you guys? Let's see here. Let me. All right. I guess let me try some settings here real quick. I don't know if you guys can see this on the screen. I'm messing with the. What do you guys think about that? That's a little better, huh? Kinda? I don't know. They're blackest black, is it? The Sumi? And hit go-to channel. What do I use? So John's asking about the 3D printers. I got a couple different ones. the one that I really like, they're both Elegoo brand. This is the Saturn. This one is just by far more reliable. It seems to, no matter what I do, it works great. Plus it's got a bigger build plate so that you can actually print, and it's resin. It's a resin printer, like an SLA. You know, I couldn't print this on my smaller one because it's too big. So I like the Saturn a lot. They actually just came out with like the Saturn 2, and it's supposed to be all wonderful. And then this smaller one is Elegoo Mars 2 Pro. The reason that I got the smaller one, because obviously I like the bigger size. The thing is, if I'm doing experimenting, testing things, this build plate is, you know, like the trough, the resin tray is pretty big, which means you need to fill it with quite a bit of resin. And if all I'm doing is kind of testing out a new resin or, you know, like a design or something like that, I'd rather have a smaller one so I don't have to use so much resin. The other thinking for that is, because, you know, if I don't use it all, I can just put it back. However, I use dyes, and I've been experimenting with putting like mica powders and different stuff in the resin. In that case, I don't want to have to use a ton of resin and then add a bunch of mica powder to it and render it useless if it doesn't work, kind of thing. So that's why I bought the small one, and it works fine. And for like the vertical, if you're doing verticals, the smaller bed sizes work fine. They can go up pretty high. But if you're doing something, you know, that you're going to print flat like this, that's how I print these, you're going to need a bigger build volume. So the Saturn is a good one. I'm pretty happy with that one. Okay, so Ponycam, are we doing that one or the Canon? We're doing the Canon right now. Okay, so let's see, I'm going to use this thing. I got a little cup for the red. We got the black. Okay, 0. Here we go. So we're doing 100, so 50 grams of part A. Whoa, went a little over. That's okay. I can put some back. Be very careful putting resin back. This cup is totally clean. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you're using like a reused cup, I would not recommend dumping it back into your jug. You just never know if there's particles of something, or this cup is clean, so we're going to dump a little bit back. And of course, you can't do this when you get to the part B, you know, since there's A and B. So be very careful about dumping resin back into your jugs. 50.3 is fine. Only do it, you know, when you know it's clean and it doesn't have part A and B in it, all that kind of stuff. Try to be very aware. Or just don't do it at all and just, you know, add a little extra part B. Okay. Love those silicone plugs. These are the greatest. So we only need like a very small scoop of the Yamagata red. So I'm going to get my notes out of the way. Get that out of the way. Okay. Mix this guy up. Oh, there, yeah. I know YouTube doesn't filter out the adult chat message, but ridiculous. What's up, Mark? I need a drink. Whew. Throat's dry. Make sure you get the sides of the cup, the bottom of the cup, scrape it all. You want to make sure that there's no unmixed part A or part B, you know, hanging out in your cup. Because if there is, that could end up in your casting. You don't want that, of course. I don't think we need more than 5 grams for that red, honestly. So we're going to start there. Well, I don't want to be under. We're at like 7. And then we're going with sumi. We're going with a 1/2 teaspoon of this. Ninja Black is a good one too. It's very dark. Honestly, I did some tests and I couldn't even tell the difference. I don't know where did I put that now? Oh, there it is, Ninja Black. That one's a pretty good one. Oh, wrong camera. Ninja Black. Either way, pretty much the same thing. And then I'm just going to use a little scooper guy here for the red. You really don't need much. Check out that red though. I'm going to actually go with the overhead because it's got a little bit better. I mean, that is the best red I've ever seen in a mica powder, ever. Hands down, like no contest. Nice, and it's like candy apple red. Awesome. It's nice and bright. Okay, so for the red, we can use the let's see here. We need another. We're going to need another syringe. I'm probably going to run out of time because I've been messing around. Okay, so I got another syringe. We're just going to start with the red. Okay, and that's all you need to do. We're a little bit heavy on that. We don't need it to be overflowing. Okay, we got that done. Now for the black, let's mix that in. So pretty black, pretty dark. If you want it even darker, just add a little black dye. Okay, and then so that cup is a little bit hard to pour out of, so we're going to grab, I don't know how many ounces this is, 5 or 3. We're going to grab a paper cup. And I think it'll pour a little bit easier into most of these areas. And if I kind of overflow it, I can just kind of sift it. Do a little bit more sifting here. Okay, now I'm going to grab some of this black into this syringe here. Using the 14 gauge tip to suck it in. And then I'm going to swap tips out to the 18 gauge, okay? It's just because the 18 gauge is really hard to suck in mica powder and resin and all that kind of stuff. But now this will fit in here. Pretty well. Get that filled up. I'm just going to use the rest that's in here right now to kind of top off some of these holes. Okay. I'm going to continue pouring. The other area, let's see, there's one other hole here I need to fill up. Yeah, that one's probably going to be a pain to get it totally filled. Okay, so again, I need to switch tips to get some more resin in there. And let's see here. Okay. All right. My syringe is a little sticky. I'm going to be kind of careful here. All right. I think I got all the tough ones filled for the most part. I think I got just a little bit more to top off on that one. I've added some more resin, swap the tips again. Yeah, we got a little bit more to fill there. And I'm not that worried if I get a little bit of the black into the red on the top of there. Really not going to affect anything. And the thing about this is if, you know, the resin's starting to get kind of thick here now. Like if you run out of time with this resin, then, you know, fine, just pressurize it and then, you know, finish it off on the next round. Like you don't need to, you know, worry about it. And you can do it within a few hours. Whereas if you don't finish everything with the epoxy, this is the reason I didn't like that option so much. You got to wait till the next day, right? Which sucks. Like that takes forever. This one needs a little bit more down here. go. Okay, I think I got it. I think it's good. I'm gonna just top off these. I think it's time to get this guy in the pressure pot. All right. It's looking pretty sweet. So like I said, I got a little bit of black in that red, but I think the rest of it's all pretty darn good. I'm going to put that in there. Doesn't look like we have any leaks or anything like that going on. I do think I'm going to, just in case, I have a piece of wood in the bottom here, so I'm going to put a piece of HDPE below that just in case it does leak. Sometimes if you have a couple layers that didn't really bond that well in your 3D print, you can get some leaks. So, you know, just in case, it's not a bad idea to like tape up those boxes. But, you know, if you got your print settings dialed in, you should be fine. Whew, okay. Now, I will say that does get a little bit kind of hectic, a little bit, you know, with the alumilite clear. So, you know, just make sure that you're not biting off more than you can chew. The first time I tried these types of things, I was like, oh, we'll just do like 5 at a time. No, do 1 at a time. And in some cases, you may want to just do certain parts. You know, take the time to fill, you know, certain parts of it. And then, you know, come back in a couple hours, you can pull it out and then, you know, finish things off. We'll add some of this black here to the Happy Fun Cup. This one's going to be a pretty sweet Happy Fun Cup, I think. This syringe is really terrible, so I'm just going to toss it. Usually you can kind of clean them out with the acetone and stuff, but I'm just not even going to mess with it because that thing just really wasn't working too well. I can clean this one. That one worked fine. And then we're going to add a little bit of black, red right in the middle there. Oops. Look at that. That's pretty sweet. I'm even going to swirl it a little bit. Ooh. Watch out, we're swirling. There we go. Happy Fun Cup. If you don't have a Happy Fun Cup yet, I urge you to just get a cup and dump some extra resin in there, here and there. And you will have so much fun with it. Okay, wipe that off, toss that. Move the Happy Fun Cup out of the way. Toss that. Okay, so how do you clean out these syringes? That's a good question. We are going to, let's see, where is my little cup? There it is. So grab yourself a cup that can handle acetone being put in it. All right, so most just plastic cups will melt. And then you just put some acetone and then you just suck it in and then squirt it out. And that cleans out your syringe. It's pretty simple. And then I like to just kind of pump it a few times to make sure everything's good. And then you can even take it apart. All right, and then you can kind of wipe off the plunger part. If you really wanted to, you could take some acetone on that. Make sure it's nice and clean. I think that's the part that gets kind of sticky. Typically, you could just totally soak all this stuff in acetone or denatured alcohol. And then I got another tip here, so not that kind of tip, like a syringe tip that I use for the black. So I'm just going to put it back together and clean out that tip. Now I got everything nice and clean. Again, I can take that apart, wipe that off, and it's reusable. The thing is, though, these syringes, all this stuff is really not that expensive anyway, though. So again, the links, I don't have them in the description yet, but they will be after the broadcast. And we already have some. If you scroll up, there are some links to all this stuff, the 18, 14 gauge, both of those, as well as the syringes. Whew, I feel like I've been talking this whole time. All right, let's see what else is going on. A lot of people say, don't add resin on shiny resin because it doesn't stick good. Yeah, that is true. But this isn't, so the one advantage I would say is it isn't super shiny. You know, but yeah, that is true. You don't want to, resin doesn't stick to a very smooth surface very well, but in this case, it should be fine. Worst case scenario, add a little bit of super thin CA glue, like douse that on the blank while you're turning it, and it'll kind of seep into any, cracks or any issues and kind of help you out. But in general, yes, that is true, but these things do work. They're okay. But I wouldn't do it, too often. Like I'm trying to think of if you were doing like a multiple pour, multiple layered, let's say I wanted a bottle stopper and I wanted half of it yellow and half of it green. All right, and so I was going to do 2 pours, like I want a division line. All right, so you can do the first pour and then pressurize it, or whatever, let it fully cure up, and then you can pour another layer on the top. If you're going to do it that way, what I recommend is do it within 24 hours, and realistically do it as soon as possible after that first pour. So in the case of alumilite clear, a lot of times you can get away with just pulling it out of the pressure pot within like an hour with the alumilite clear slow, the one that I'm using. It'll be hardened up and you can pull it out if you want. I recommend going 2 to 4 hours normally, but pull it out and then pour that second layer right away, and it's going to bond a lot better if that resin's still in the curing phase, right? But after like 24 hours, it's pretty, most resins they're hard, and it's like a smooth, tough layer, let's say. And it just doesn't bond as well after that time. But in this case, they're all going different directions and weird stuff, and so it should be okay. For Happy Fun cups, I say it's all right. But for everything else, the other way to get around it, if you have something that you need to pour resin on that's super smooth, then scuff up the surface. And I could do that every time with the Happy Fun cup, but Happy Fun cup is kind of its own little thing, and I think they're going to be okay. Jamie, what's up, dude? How you doing, man? Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Aw, family dinner, nice. 2:30 a.m. Oh, man. Well, thanks for joining the fun, Cheryl. I probably missed you, but... And that chat XYZ is still trying. Just scooting up. Donna's here. What's up? Okay. I don't think I'm missing anything else. So what are you up to, Jamie? Are you doing anything cool? Tell the folks what's happening in your shop, man. Clean up some of these little drips. Okay, so for the final one, we got, and if you're just joining the fun, this one's a tough one to get a good light on. Let's see if we can do it. So that's pretty good. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Is that a fly? I hate flies. I'm going the wrong way. Okay, so let's see if we can get the right angle. So they're little jack-o'-lantern faces. Really hard with that dark background to get a good shot of these things. So there we have it. I'm going to zoom back out a little bit. Okay. So this one's going to be simple. We're just going to mix up some orange resin, pour it in the box, stick it in a pressure pot. It'll be pretty simple. I think I'm going to go, I really need to have some pressure pots available. I'm going to go get another one. Because you know me, guys, I got a few. I got a backup. And we'll just put it in that one back there. All right. Pumpkin faces, yep. I know, Jamie's always doing cool stuff. Okay, so we're going to go with the overhead view. Does anybody have any comments about the views? Is any view better than the other one? I think I still have resin all over the place. I need more shop towels. I don't want sticky resin on my notebook. Okay, I think we're good now. Okay, number 3, we're doing the pumpkin faces. So again, I'm going to mix up, probably in this case, I mean 100 was way over. We're going to mix up 80 grams of orange resin. So in this case, what we're going to do is, I like to go with the tangerine and then add a little orange dye to it. It really makes it a nice looking orange. Okay, we could go with a solid orange. We could go with tiger orange as well, and be like a solid color. That wouldn't be too bad, but I kind of think I like the sparkle of the mica powder. Orange glitter. I don't have orange glitter. Do I? I don't have like glitter. I think this warrants like glitter. You know what I mean? Like the little fine pieces. I have I think, well, yeah. I don't think I have orange glitter. I have like a tinsel glitter in orange, but unfortunately I really think it needs to be the smaller stuff, like a metal flake, small glitters. So we're gonna go with this. We're gonna do a little mica. We're gonna do a little orange. It's gonna be sweet. So let's get our cup ready. You can kind of see it there. Zero it out. This one's a quick one. Slam dunk. I like the quick and easy 3D print ones. We've done a few things, like the ones that I really like are the ones you can just drop into a tube, PVC pipe. Those are sweet. And I like these boxes where you can just kind of. Another one that's pretty cool is you can just do the outsides of certain things. I don't know exactly how this would work, but where you can just drop it into slots in a mold. That's pretty cool. But sometimes there's just nothing you can do, you know? You got to just make... I like these things because you can... Like, if you don't have, like, a full casting setup, you could go get a very small amount of resin. You don't even know, one that doesn't need a pressure pot. Just mix up some resin, add a little bit of, mica or whatever to it, and you could just use this as your mold. You don't need to have a bunch of equipment. So that's why I like these things. But, in some cases, if you have all the setups, there can be a little bit quicker ways to do this sometimes. Connie always wants glitter. I know. Okay, so we're going to go 40 grams of Part A. Oh, I went way over. So again, this is a case. You really have to be careful. I'm going to pour some back, but it's a brand new cup. Everything's fine. There's nothing wrong with the resin. You have to really watch yourself. I've caught myself almost pouring back a cup that I'm sure has particles of junk in it because I was using a cup that wasn't, brand new. So you got to really be careful. Especially, it would be the worst. It would be the absolute worst if you poured back a cup, that had Part A and Part B in it into the Part A jug. Like, it would ruin the whole jug. So that's why I'm saying just be very careful when you're pouring resin back into a jug. know what's in that cup. All right, 40 grams of part B. Gotta be very careful and sneak up on this. I might have orange glow in the dark. I don't know. Well, I have glow in the dark powder. That's a good idea. We could do that. I don't have to cut these things. Let's see how that looks. Oh, I do have orange. Huh. I think I'm gonna go with just a regular glow. Oh wait, Casey's glow. It's just red. All right, so Casey's got some. We're just gonna go with the regular standard glow powder. It'll be all right. We're gonna add it with our pearls and all the other stuff. We'll see how good, see how glowy we can get it with mica powder and dye in it too. Well, the dye is transparent, so that's not really a big deal. And we're not even adding that much. Okay, so let's go with a quarter. Let's see here, 40 grams. I'm gonna try, let's see what an 1/8 teaspoon looks like of this. I just want to see how it, opaque it is. Again, this is going to be a pen blank, and by the time you get done turning a pen blank down with, you know, like a tubed kit, normal kit blank, I mean, it's like a tiny, tiny amount of resin left. And so it's, you know, it may look great in the cup, but a better way to judge it is pull a little bit out on your stick, and that's way see-through. So we're going to go with a 1/4 teaspoon. Another scoop with the 1/8. That ought to be plenty, I think. Yeah, I think that'll be good. And then I like to add a little bit of this just alumilite dye, the orange, just a drop. It just changes the color just a little bit. It really brightens that orange up. Look at that. That's Halloween pumpkin right there. Ooh, yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Okay. We got that going. And then we'll add I'm just going to blow this spoon off really quickly. And we'll add our glow powder. I don't know how much glow powder you need to, I don't really work with it that much. I know that the more you add, the better off you are, but glow powder is super abrasive and heavy. So we'll just have to kind of see how this goes. And you guys know that I hate abrasive and heavy things. Yeah, I know it'll kind of overwhelm it, but at the same time, I've done this before, and it worked fine. It was fairly glowy. So that's the thing. We'll have to see how this works. But I don't think it's going to totally kill it. My biggest thing is I'd rather have it look great during the day with the lights on than have glow powder and it looks like crap. You know, it just, That's always the tough thing with glow powders, is usually you kind of have to give up a lot on the, in the daytime is usually when you see most of these things the most often. It's kind of more like kitschy with the glow powder thing. So we'll just have to kind of see. So that, let's do, we did a 1/4 teaspoon of glow. Let's do, I don't know, we might even do like a 1/2 teaspoon. That's the thing, is the more you put in, the more glowy it's going to be. We'll just have to see how much the mica powder diminishes the glow. Kind of thinking one more. So total half teaspoon of glow powder in this. I think that's a good number. But you might be able to kind of hear it. It's like sand. It's like little rock particles. You know, it's like scrapey. And so, you know, effectively, it's basically like adding like sand to, or something like that, to your blanks. And so that's why it's really abrasive. So, you know, your table saw and your bandsaw, you're going to dull those blades cutting glow in the dark stuff pretty quickly. If you're turning it, I would go with carbide. That's what I would recommend. I think you're going to get the best results doing that. Or you're going to be spending most of your turning time sharpening, you know. So this will be the kind of the question: is it gonna sink? Uh-oh, looks like we might have. Yep, we got a hole in this one. Shoot. We're leaking. I'm just going to tape this up. Looks like we're only leaking on that one side so far. Must have had my settings a little bit low. I'm going to add a little bit more tape. All right. It ain't pretty, but it should work. Pop that off a little bit. So what I was saying is we'll have to see if this, you know, if the glow powder sinks or, you know, does anything weird. But I think it'll turn out kind of cool. We'll see. Okay. Into the pressure pot we go. Right there. So I'm just, these CA Technologies pots, if they're not bolted down, they can just spin around and it's kind of terrible. But I think in this case we'll be okay. Sorry. That's pretty loud. And I'm actually going to put this one on something as well. Not so much because it's leaking all over the place, but more because the bottom of your pressure pot is kind of bowed just a little bit. So when you pressurize something like this, it could It could oh man, it's leaking all over the place. Something is. Whatever. It'll be fine. That's another advantage to that alumilite clear slow. 12 minutes of working time. This thing is not going to like leak out all over the place in the pressure pot. It's going to set up in, 2 minutes here. And the leaking will be over. But what I was saying is the bottoms of pressure pots, even the CA Technologies is pretty flat actually, this brand. But even still, it's got a little bit of a dish to it, and so when you pressurize something like that, it can actually kind of press it down, especially with silicone molds. I'm not sure about, like that 3D print, but that thing's not like super strong on the bottom, so sometimes that pressure is enough to actually push down, like it's enough pressure to push down on stuff and cause it to kind of bow. And then what you end up having is what I call banana blanks. And I don't like banana blanks. Okay, there we have it. Now we got another cup to put in the Happy Fun cup with glow powder this time. How exciting is that? Let's put this like this. There we go. Can you guys see? Yep, sort of. Look at that. I need more paper towels. I need to buy these things by like the pallet load. As I go through them. All right, did I miss any? Miss any questions? Probably. Connie puts puts half teaspoon per 30 grams of resin. That's a good idea. Yeah, I prefer putting a lot in there. That's the thing. Like if you're going to do glow powder, do glow powder. So that's why you don't see me using it that much, because I really don't like how abrasive it is. There's just other cool things that you can turn, And a lot of it's not even the turning part. It's that it just destroys my saw blades. And like that blank right there, if I was cutting it lengthwise, so like if I made a brick of blanks with glow powder in, all of them, and I had to cut all of them out, that blade would be absolutely shot. I'd have to go get it sharpened, like probably on that first blank that I cut. And it's not worth it for me. In that case, but in this case we don't have to cut. I'm not gonna have to cut that thing out, but even your drill bit is gonna be affected by that a little bit. It's gonna be more abrasive on that too. So I just want to make sure people are aware of it, because I have a low tolerance for that stuff. I don't want to deal with it. It's just not worth it for me a lot of times. So for you just but as long as you know what's coming, that's the main thing. Oh, I'm good. All of my pressure pots are actually bolted down. That one I was replaced by this one, and so I just went and got it. But I appreciate it. I physically bolt all the CA pots down. This is actually another nice thing about the California Air Tools. It's got these little feet on it that, like, really, you don't really need to bolt it down. Like, it's good enough. The CA pots, I mean, they just spin because like the feet don't actually go below the pot. But with this one, it's got little feet that extend below, and it's a really, really great pot. You could still put, like, I'm thinking about maybe like putting some little blocks just to make sure it doesn't spin at all, but not too bad. I really like that one. And like I said, I appreciate the offer, but I'm not going to be mounting those two. They're reserve pots for times like this when I need to have the other 3 or 4 empty. But I need to cast something else, you know? There's always something like that. Let's see here. The flat, let me go grab a link for you, Philip. I think I can pull that up. I got them on Amazon. They are, yeah, the rimless, I know. These are really good cups. I like them. I'm pretty happy with them. I think I can pull them up really quick for you. Let me look here. See if I can find them. There it is. So those are 5-ounce cups, just to let you know. A pretty good size. Here you go. There they are. Amazon. Amazon's my favorite. They got everything, you know. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. I don't think I missed anything else. Oh, the clear plastic ones. Jeez, you guys asked so much of me. I think I can get a link to that too. No, that's not plastic. That's not. I think I found them. No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it, sorry. Maybe this one. Found it. Here we go. That's not. Okay, I got you this time. We got plastic ones now. Oh, thanks, Wes. I appreciate it. Yeah, sorry you missed you just missed the last one that we did. But we did a couple things. I'm gonna have to redo the thumbnail because we did the pinstripe looking thing. And those are gonna be like holiday ornaments for the Turner's Warehouse Holiday Ornament Challenge. And then we did we just came out with some Halloween themed 3D print things. Like little boxes, and so one of them is a spider web, and then one of them is like jack-o'-lanterns. So we did those kind of at the end. So it's pretty fun. There's links to the 3D print stuff, and I put links in the chat to the syringes that I use to fill the boxes. I'm gonna go back and make sure that they're in the bottom description as well. Yeah, I know everything does have ridges. Those ones are pretty good. They're kind of expensive though. There is a little bit of a ridge in the bottom, and then there's like a little button on the inside of that thing, but pretty much the only other thing the only other option is go with the pint, one of these, but it's still not good. Now I do have this one is an actual HDPE-ish, like a paint mixing cup type thing. But it's got a pretty exaggerated weird thing on the bottom, and it's really hard to get resin out of. It doesn't come out that well. So I don't know if I would really recommend that one. I just go for those smaller ones, the just plastic ones. All right, so last call for questions. Always make a Spurs cup. I'm not sure what that is. Last call for questions, and then we'll get going. So on Saturday, we're going to turn. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do. So I'm thinking that we might turn one of the Halloween pen blanks. And then I'm thinking I might just do a video for the holiday ornament. I don't know. I can't do both on Saturday. And next week we're going to take off from streams because Turner's Warehouse has already sent the fourth mystery box. And I think it's Halloween themed, and I don't know if I need to like get it. I mean, it makes sense to get it done before Halloween, which means I really need to get that done next week. So we're going to take next week off from live streams again. Apologize for that, but I only have so much time, you know. And we want to make sure that we get these mystery box projects done because they're pretty sweet. And I'm really looking forward to seeing whatever's in that box because it's going to be pretty sweet. But let's see. Any other questions? I don't think so. I don't think so. Oh, built-in tenon. Yeah, it is a built-in tenon, actually. That is kind of the nice thing. But anyway, so I don't see any questions. Big thank you to Jamie for helping support the channel with your super chat. And Saturday is going to be at noon Pacific time. We're going to turn, like I said, I think I'm going to turn one of the pen blanks. I think that's going to be the kind of the way to go with this. I might need a couple seconds of thought on the Christmas ornament. And so anyway, that one might be a part-timer. That one might be whatchamacallit, a video, like a regular video. So it is true. I am a part-timer. I got so many things going on. It's tough to keep up. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you all joining the fun today. Like I said, come back on Saturday to see one of these guys turned up. I'm not sure which one. Just wait for the thumbnail on Saturday and you'll see. And I think that's about it. So I hope you have a great night tonight. Get in the shop, do something fun, make something cool, and I will see you guys on the next stream.